James Joyce famously boasted that if Dublin one day simply disappeared, it could be rebuilt brick by following his books. I wondered if that was true today. The city Joyce once described as the center of paralysis is now home to the booming Celtic Tiger economy. So why do his books still hold sway over the life of the city?
Well, when I grew up living in Dublin and reading Portrait and reading Dubliners and reading Ulysses and beginning to try and read Finnegan's Wake, it was actually like living in a ghost town, you know? It was like living in a town. The fiction seemed realer than the town itself. It was a very strange feeling, you know? But it's, as I said, it's changed since then. That city no longer exists, you know?
I was walking down one of the streets in Dublin and saw written on a wall of a building, "Bloom is a cod." And I recognize this as a quote from the Circe episode of Ulysses, the one that takes place in the red light district, where it's also basically a piece of graffiti. And I was just amazed that somebody had gone around to put literary graffiti up on the walls of the city.
What do you think "Bloom is a cod" means?
Well, cod in Dublinese means a joke or a trick, and bloom is a cod. It's probably graffiti, meaning that bloom is, the whole thing is a joke.
Where did it come from? Have you guys seen it before ever?
I've never seen that, but we would know the word cod. People would say stop codding, or just stop joking.
A lot of academics feel that Ulysses should be retained in academia, whereas a lot of people, and mainly Irish people, feel no, it should not. It should be brought out to everybody, to the common man, that the common man can enjoy Joyce, and that's as it should be, you know. So maybe an academic has put up that graffiti.
I just love the idea that part of the celebration of Bloomsday that went on during the week was to go around the city and write graffiti, words from the book on the walls of the city. The fictional world has become part of the real world of Dublin. As you walk around parts of downtown, the center of Dublin, there are plaques on the sidewalks that say, at this point, Leopold Bloom looked in this shop window. And so that they have made a way in which the fictional world is now embedded into the real concrete of the sidewalks and the buildings.
In Ulysses, Joyce says, I'm the servant of two masters, one English and one Italian. The British Empire and the Vatican. The hold of both is largely gone in this country now.
In many ways, it's changed totally. In other ways, it hasn't changed at all. I mean, if you look at Dubliners, he was writing about an internal paralysis in the lives of the characters, you know? And in many ways, I think I look at Dublin nowadays and I find exactly that same kind of inner paralysis there, you know? But, I mean, factually and visually and architecturally and in every other way, the city's changed almost beyond recognition, you know?
Dublin is almost a kind of mirage. I mean, it's changing all the time. But some things have remained the same. I would say also that politically, things have changed immensely. I mean, Joyce's first story in Dubliners, The Sisters, commences in a street called Great Britain Street. It's just down the bottom of this street. But if you ask somebody for Great Britain Street, they look at you as if you had 6 heads. It doesn't exist anymore. It's been renamed Parnell Street. So the names have changed as well. The political system has changed. The Dublin of which Joyce wrote was the second city of the British Empire. We are now the capital of a small but wealthy and successful European country, which is independent, and as we speak, we still have the presidency of the European Union.
I don't think there's much difference at all between Dublin 1904 and Dublin 2004. You know, because interesting, at the very beginning of the project, one of the ideas I had was to set Joyce's novel within a contemporary setting. Obviously, trying to set the film in 1904 in modern Dublin was unbelievably difficult because some of the places, locations have simply gone. Bloom's house on Eccles Street does not exist anymore. But we spent, I think, 3 years finding those right parts of Dublin where we could actually shoot scenes that would work for us. If we'd move the camera a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, you wouldn't want to see what we could say.
I mean, Ulysses is an extraordinary book, and it's an extraordinary book about a city, and it is amazing to live in a city where the book does define the city so perfectly and kind of freezes it in time. I don't know if any other city in the world has a similar kind of Bible attached to it, you know.
The reason it feels modern is because Joyce's language is modern, his imagination is modern, so I don't think there's much difference between then and now, and even the issues are the same. You know, there's racism, there's all these things are all there. All of life is in that book, and it's you know, and it's one of Joyce's recurring themes. You know, you cannot stop the sun from shining tomorrow. That's it.